The prosecution depended on two claims. The first of which was that Williams and Kohler pursued Peltier onto the Jumping Bull property and that he came out firing. Williams and Kohler were supposedly out looking for an Indian named Jimmy Eagle that day regarding the theft of some cowboy boots, which is an extremely ironic claim considering that murders of dozens of Indians were going uninvestigated on Pine Ridge. Jimmy Eagle drove a red pickup truck, and in the fact, the agents had radioed that they were pursuing a red pickup truck. Peltier, on the other hand, drove a red and white van. The prosecution would claim that the term van and pickup are interchangeable. And the second claim was that the burnt-out AR-15 that was found in the back of Robbie Doe's car was in fact Peltier's, and that it was the murder weapon, and that they had found a casing for it in the open trunk of one of the agent's vehicles, indicating that it was the execution weapon. To match the casing to the gun required a firing pin test. Information acquired due to the Freedom of Information Act indicates that the initial firing pin test was performed and proved that the gun did not in fact match the casing. However, it was simply reported at the time that the trial that the gun was too damaged for the test to be performed. Later on, the test was performed again and there was a match. Clearly, the casing was switched out in the subsequent test. Throughout the trial, the jury was driven to the courtroom in a bus with the windows blacked out and told that it was to protect them from sniper fire from A.I.M members, an obvious attempt by the FBI agents to generate a sense of fear towards A.I.M and Peltier. Meanwhile, less than a year after the Pine Ridge shootout, Anna Mae Aquash, who had remained at Pine Ridge and was becoming a powerful organizer for A.I.M, was found dead by the side of the road. She had been shot in the back of the head execution style after being raped. A year later, Leonard Peltier was convicted for the murders of Agent Kohler and Williams and received 2 consecutive life sentences. Despite numerous appeals, Peltier remains incarcerated to this day. 2 years later, John Trudell led a march to Washington, D.C., and delivered a speech from the steps of the FBI building about the agency's harassment of Native Americans. Less than 3 hours later, his wife, Tina Manning, their 3 children, and his mother-in-law were burned alive in the family home on a Shoshone Paiute reservation in northern Nevada by an arsonist. Tina Manning was the daughter of Arthur Manning, a member of the tribal council, and was opposed by the tribal police chief, who was a former goon. Since then, A.I.M has engaged in some very helpful campaigns for Indians, such as founding the American Indian Opportunities Industrialization Center and Indian Legal Rights Centers, but its influence has waned greatly. Its legacy lives on in the militant warrior societies that emerged to protect indigenous lands from European colonialism, which has never ended. The history of A.I.M did not begin with Alcatraz, and it did not end in the 1980s. As Leonard Peltier said, A.I.M is the people. A.I.M will be there when every one of us living today is gone. A.I.M will raise new leaders in every generation. Crazy Horse belonged to A.I.M, Sitting Bull belonged to A.I.M. They belong to us still, and we belong to them. The end. Any questions?
Actually, if there's no objection, do you mind if we go in a circle and have everyone either ask a question or say something, or if they don't want to, just say pass?
Okay, yeah, that's great. We'll start over here.
My question is, what do you see as the fundamental strengths of A.I.M, and then what do you think the fundamental weaknesses of A.I.M have been, both organizationally and in their program?
I think several of the A.I.M members kind of have indicated through the years that A.I.M was pretty loosely structured. There wasn't much in the way of discipline or people being answerable to the general collective. I would see that as the fundamental weakness of A.I.M. The strengths are that it appealed to Indians across tribal lines, that they were extremely active and militant, and basically, I can't remember which one it was, but he said basically kind of the unofficial motto of A.I.M was any place, anytime, anywhere, which meant that like wherever Indians needed help, they basically just went there and were like, all right, what do you need us to do? So as far as generating the support of the community, I think that was definitely one of their biggest strengths. Okay.
I don't know, I guess I don't have a question, just a comment that it sort of reminded me of the time that I read People's History of the United States. And after the whole killing all the Indians off part was done, I was too depressed to care about what happened in the rest of the book.
Well, that's too bad, because it's still happening, so. Will?
From what I gathered, it sounds like you read and gathered a lot of your research from In the Spirit of Crazy Horse by Matheson, which is a book that I've read actually about a decade ago, quite a while ago. The case of Leonard Peltier has interested me a lot since I first found out about it, and as I've kind of been looking into it more, I think of a song called Sacrifice by Robbie Robertson. Robbie Robertson is, he used to be the guitar player for the band. He himself being a Huron, has been very active in American Indian movements. I don't know if he was actually a member of A.I.M or if he had anything to do with that, but he's been a very, very strong advocate for Native American rights. From a CD from the Underworld of Red Boy is an excellent CD. What my question is every time I try to bring up the Bureau of Indian Affairs or A.I.M or anything like that, I get shot down, basically. So, how do we raise awareness of this to maybe hold governments accountable, to hold bureaucrats accountable for these crimes?
I personally think that that one very helpful thing would be for A.I.M to be reactivated, for chapters to be started in places where there are no chapters now, and for those to be active and militant. I think this would be the best way. So, and for when those chapters do arrive, that groups like us support them and help to bring awareness to those kind of things. That's my opinion.
I was going to ask you what other research materials you used other than that book.
Yeah, so there's there's the film Incident at Oglala. There's Russell Means' biography, which is called Where White Men Fear to Tread. There's Dennis Banks' autobiography called Ojibwa Warrior. There's the prison writings of Leonard Peltier, and also the PBS did like a really awesome series just recently called We Shall Remain. The final episode, and the episodes are like an hour and a half long, the final episode of which is about the Wounded Knee incident, but talks more generally about A.I.M and such. So all those things are good.
Since they were so militarily active in a lot of cases, I think what lessons do you think we can learn as kind of a revolutionary thing on what kind of what follies to avoid when taking actual violent military action, things like that, and then what can we learn from their experiments, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the accusation, like a lot of people say, like at the time, the accusations were that A.I.M was just this kind of violent thug group, but it's not accurate because A.I.M never advocated the use of violence as a means to an end. They were more like the Black Panthers or Malcolm X, where they said, hey, we should arm ourselves so we're not getting killed by, Dickie Wilson or the BIA and things like that. So I think that's definitely a good way to go as far as militant action goes. I'm not really sure. Like one of the things is you probably shouldn't work yourself into a situation where you're all gonna get killed like some people who have armed themselves, kind of did like Move in Chicago and groups like that. I don't know. I don't have a whole ton of insight about that, I guess. Jacob?
What type of organization was A.I.M? Because it kind of sounds like at certain points it was very active and very visible, and then at other times it was kind of underground. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Why do you say that you feel like they were underground exactly?
Well, I mean, it seems to me like when we talk about these massacres that come in from FBI agents and things like this, like they always had to sort of, in a sense, find them. But you know, if they're a really visible group and they're doing like a whole lot of active community things, you know.
Yeah, well, basically, I wouldn't say that the group ever was like an underground organization. At various times, relating to various offenses, different members of the group would go underground. Leonard Peltier, even before the Pine Ridge shootout, had kind of gone on the lam for a while, even though he still remained extremely active, helping out in in different fish-ins where Indians would go and they would fish in violation of like state government regulations, to assert their tribal rights there. So anyway.